Tell me how you know. I've been searching high and low, and I can tell you one thing: couple big titties but naked women just don't fall out the sky, you know. Tell me how you know. I've been searching high and low, and I can tell you one thing: couple big titties but naked women just don't fall out the sky, you know. Don't fall out the sky, you know. Sky, you know. Don't fall out the sky, you know. They so valuable. I've been searching high and low, and I can tell you one thing: beautiful big titties but naked women just don't fall out the sky, you know. I told her skinny was here, so she took out all the ass. Kept it natural, but that thing still moving, I had to knock it down. Easy, where we at? Throw it to Milan, just turn the bird, just to my catches like I was Elon. Caroline's on the blue side, booty must the dual side. Seen it from the front side, damn it must be two sides. God damn it must be two sides. 4G's on that double arm, floating like a cruise line. Bitches wanna fuck me, they trap me, they fuck me over. She crying tears and then made back and knocked the Toyota. Once it's over, then she dead and then get that hoe a memorial. Got my dick for the interview, the editorial. But you wanna check how you working like I appointed you. Oh, how you gon' go back in your blessing when I anointed you? Beautiful big titty, but naked bitches, where you at? Started off tripping, celebrate tuition, open rest. Smiling and down, let her take my ratchet over sex. She was too used to hamburger, help a chili mac. And that's facts, you can fact check it. I'm from the crack devil, red bone bitches, they keep me like I'm a back checker. Standing at the plate, the whole catch it, boss like a back catcher. I bring my pistol when I fuck her, cause it's all my survival, ho. I bet you clean off if you fuck with my rival, so put that on everything, a whole stack of Bibles, so real niggas like me just don't fall off the sky, you know. So keep vibing, ho, and you know this facts, you can fact check it. I'm from the crack era, when niggas run off the burger, don't bring it back ever. Standing at the plate, the whole catching boss like a back catch. Beautiful niggas, big titty women just don't fall out the sky, you know.
Put up, I don't hang with rats, that's some new type shit. Get a nigga wet, dumb news type shit. Sippin', drinkin', actin', phone screw type shit. Just, Put up, I don't hang with rats, that's some new type shit. Get a nigga wet, dumb news type shit. Sippin', drinkin', actin', phone screw type shit. Just a sad hoe, running through the crew type shit. I got a bad bitch at home, voodoo type shit. Take down Megan Stan Jones by the group type shit. That's some thick shit, I just thought you knew type shit. I just tricked up, I don't just usually do this type shit. Pockets racked up, all blue type shit. Bunch of rich niggas, hoes get confused type shit. And now the nigga live like Ted Turner type shit. On camera, bruh, knock her jaws loose type shit. I cancel her, kick her out of school type shit. A silent hitter, I just keep it cool with you bitches. A silent nigga, count dog food type shit. Moving through the city with your boo type shit. Spreading something up like soup type shit. You going against the guys and you gon' lose type shit. Pray to God they knock you out your shoe type shit. Poppin' right about the blue type shit. Put the double O in the mood. Say that's all. That's a cool type mix. Oxycontin mixing with balloons. Used to let her feeling like a zoo type mix. Shawty, stripping, taking shrooms. Eating all the perks on some food type shit. I be shawty, make it work, 9 to 5 type shit. Eating all the perks on some food type shit. Eating all the perks on some food type shit. All the homies crashing on some food type shit. homies crashing on some food time. Eating all the perkies on some food type shit. Kick it slow, flow, jitsu type shit. Real like my dreadlocks on blood type shit. Cook a nigga up like food type shit. Push up in my thighs, fuck me different type shit. She creeping all in my bras, I gotta move type shit. Times they cover my flaws, I had to brand new type shit. Hell around joint with a burst, holler like a new type shit. All of my dreams say I think I'm over type shit. Put the whole thing with the game, that shit my manager type shit.
Peace to the tribe, peace to the collective. Here with another video. Make sure that's where I like it. Can I get a thumbs up if y'all can hear me okay? Just want to make sure y'all can hear me. Peace to Myra. Peace Gaia. Peace Jazz. Hope everybody's doing well out there. In this video, going to just get straight to it. It's early in the morning. Hopefully you got your tea, your coffee, your mushroom coffee, whatever y'all be doing in the morning. People be drinking chaga and things of that nature in the morning. All right, got some thumbs up. MC Sergio, what up? Elzai, what up? Man, oh man, oh man. So I've been doing some study this morning. Well, really just having some initial thoughts about an idea and decided to do a study on that initial idea and then have a conversation with you guys in reference to the differentiation of spiritual terminology. And to recenter and reset on particular spiritual ideas as if you never heard them before. Because the deeper confusion I find is that, you run into the problem of being what is called a know-it-all or somebody that doesn't know anything. And I honestly feel that we are in the middle somewhere, right? We have an intuitive ability, but we also don't know shit for real. So really trying to live in a world with those two inconsistencies, really. It's hard to live in a world if you don't understand the world that you're living in, and then you gotta pump fake like you do know what the fuck is going on because your mom sent you to school, not like you had a choice. In whatever situation you grew up in, for good or for worse, you didn't have a real choice. And the knowledge and the ways to live the world, it wasn't instilled in us. So when we trying to understand spirituality, it's a hard sell. And so I want to be clear. So I got some etymology, I got some Bible verses pulled up, and I want to get into the metaphysics of Babylon. But before we get to Babylon, we have to deal with Babel. And Babel, quite simply, is the gate of Baal, the court of Baal, i.e., confusion, chaos, vanity, and nothingness. And what we're talking about is realities, people's thoughts, people's minds. We're talking about the inner world. And then ultimately, how do you navigate it? Because if you're trying to find sense out of confusion, it's going to be real hard. If you're trying to find peace in chaos, it's going to be real hard. If you're trying to find love in a mindset of vanity, it's going to be real hard. If you're trying to find something of value in the world of nothingness, it's going to be real hard. So I've been doing readings over this past weekend, and there was a real clear theme in reference to pretty much relationships, and I'm not exempt in that concept of just like tumultuosity when it comes to the relationship specter of the game. But at the same time, I'm still trying to understand self and vibrate high, because in life, through the confusion, through the chaos, through the vanity, through the nothingness, if this is what the world is, I'm pretty much convinced this is what the world is. But I also have a, one would say, a solution. At least for me. And you know, I can go through periods of time where I honestly I don't have peace of mind. I don't have everything put together, and I struggle with some aspects of life, and I have to do my spiritual work to get to an equilibrium. That's just me. Um, Maybe other people have it all figured out and can, you know, coach you and teach you and heal you and all of that shit. But I'm under the understanding that that's a 52 fake out pump fake. You know, if I could, and it's easy for me to say, you know, I wrote a book, or I did this thing, or I worked with this person, or I did this video. So I got all of my shit together. But that's not my truth. My truth is, if it's broken, I know how to fix it. But the reality is, it's usually broken. So I'm real good at fixing things, right? That's just me. And so I want to speak to the people who feel broken, who think that they're broken, and I want to pour into you. I want to bring life to you, because this is what spirit does for me. The enlightenment that I get from understanding the metaphysics of spirituality, it allows me to have peace of mind, peace in my heart, and it allows me to go forward. And I say that because I know a lot of people that are unable to go forward, you know, stuck in a time loop. Give me a second here. Set my laptop up so y'all will hear me a little better and I can see a little better. So, confusion. The Tower of Babel. We all heard that Bible story, right? A tower that was built with the city, the intention to make the tower so high that it would reach to heaven. It is here that a confusion of tongues takes place and men begin to speak in different languages. So, this is the history of the Bible, but then we also have to understand and understand that there is a metaphysical meaning to every single story in the Bible. There is a metaphysical meaning to, is not a story in the Bible that takes place in real life. Thus, when we are trying to throw out the baby with the bathwater, for lack of better words, we are also throwing away a wealth of knowledge that could be interpreted in a different way that could bring certain enlightenment. One's in the chat if you can understand that. So, the metaphysical meaning to Babel is signifies what the name means: confusion. So when men thinks that in the outer or purely mental and psychic ways that he can contact and comprehend the divine, confusion is always the outcome. So, what does that mean, right? I think first we need to deal with a model of the inner and outer world by the way of Carl Jung's model. This is the model that I use personally. It's easy to understand. And so to get into confusion, one has to have one of two things and trying to look both ways. Confusion is trying to go up and down at the same time, left and right at the same time. Confusion is I want to be rich, but I'm really poor, right? So confusion is I want, I need, I desire. Why? Because what we're talking about is the inner world reality and the outer world reality. It's very important to differentiate the outer world and the inner world. Now, y'all gonna pay thousands of dollars for niggas to tell you all type of shit in your lifetime. But with this understanding right here, you will save a lot of money by switching to Geico. Can I get a one in the chat? You're gonna spend a lot of money. Listen, you're gonna spend a lot of time listening to people, right? However, the reality is there is an inner world and there is an outer world. When we confuse the two, that is the metaphysics of confusion. So you don't know what you should do in your relationship. You don't know what you should do at your job. You don't know about really much of shit at this particular point because you cannot differentiate the outer world from the inner world. They're completely mixed and conflated. So when we talk about spiritual and psychological understandings and overstandings, is almost trying to differentiate the chocolate from the milk, the peanut butter from the jelly. Once these things are mixed, it's hard to get them unmixed. So when we're talking about spiritual development and we're then conflating it with our material life and we're trying to incorporate 10% of our material life, maybe 50%, 5%, and the reality is pretty much 0%. Because how would we describe the inner versus the outer world? It's like two people, they're back to each other, and one is facing this way, and the other one is facing that way. And they're a million miles apart. So, and they have no cell phones, no beepers, no pagers, no nothing. There's no way for the inner world and the outer world to communicate with one another. The only thing that one could begin to do with their conscious mind is either focus on the outer world, and it is the body, it is the age, it is the relationship, is all of the things that you might look at in the mirror and might not like. It is all the things that you might look in your environment and may not like. And when you focus on these particular things, you cannot focus on the other thing because now you're moving in the direction a million miles away from another direction. Thus, a spiritualist or somebody that practice spiritual development is simply going to be, give me 1 second. That's throwing me off. Okay. A spiritualist is only going to be focused on the inner world. Okay. So another way we can begin to reference this. Babel, just to go back to our original point, Babel signifies what the name means, confusion. When man thinks in the outer, or purely mental and psychic, he can comprehend and contact the divine. Confusion is always the outcome. So once again, we're using our mind to fixate on the outer world. It could be as simple as like school. It could be any particular thing that you're focusing on that is in reference to importance. And the reality is the material world is not the real world. It's the world that will definitely pass away. The inner world, which has your psychic functions, your ability to remember, your mood, your sexual magnetism, right? Imagine everything that you could attract, everything that you desire is unlocking different parts of your soul, different types of geniuses, different types of focuses, different types of concentrations, skills, talents, abilities. You could fixate and focus your mind towards that. And I'm older now, but I know like it was a lot of time that I would spend using my mind trying to get some ass or trying to get some money or trying to do some extracurricular activity that had nothing to do with unlocking my skills, talents, and abilities. However, when I did put my mind to my soul, I unlocked things within me that allowed me to attract the things that I truly desire without me actually putting forth, quote unquote, the effort. So, another word in that description is psychic, which, at one definition, the root of the word, which most people don't deal with, and this is very important, psychic, spiritual, anything in reference to that, you have to be very, like, you got to keep, like, your third eye open or one eye open. You can't really trust spiritual people because the nature of, say, uh, a psychic, a psychic isn't, for the most part, going to tune into you as a soul. A psychic, for the most part, is going to say you're going to make a lot of money, you're going to be rich, you're going to find love, right? Because a psychic, in the traditional sense, is concerned with the life only, meaning that as a soul, to get to this level, like we can start our spiritual journey through a reader and a psychic. That's a good start. For me, that was my start, no doubt. But the reading is not the end all be all to nobody's spiritual journey. And more so, the deeper, the the majority of psychics is only going to tell you about who you are. And then it's gonna be like scam artists that's gonna say that they can read your Akashic records. Nobody can read your Akashic records but you, because it's your Akashic records. That's like your bank account. Unless somebody is hacking into your shit and stealing money from you, your soul needs to be studied by you by fixating your mind on your soul. But the problem is when you're not taught spiritual development and spiritual information, and you're just taught the material world or prostitution, where you only think about sex or you only think about money, that's going to be your foundation. And then when you're trying to deal with spirituality, you just using it to make money. You're just using it to prostitute yourself. Because it's a lot of people in these spiritual communities, a lot of men that use it to have sex with women. Like that be their number one goal in reference to spiritual information. And then there's some people that use it specifically to make money. Like they whole shit is set up to make money. And the information is very scarce. It's copy paste. They ain't really teaching. They ain't really going through shit with you. They not really showing you nothing. They pulling shit out their ass and they just talking. Well, this is confusion because when you trying to get into some real spiritual shit, it's going to be you and you only, because that could only reference the actual truth, especially when it comes to you. So let's read further. It is only through the inner spirit of truth that he can come in touch with and gain spiritual truth. It is only. And so this actually takes a lot of work. This takes a lot of understanding and overstanding. I think the conversation can be valuable if you can begin to differentiate the outer world from the inner world. And then put your mind and psychic abilities towards your inner world. Because let's look up the definition of confusion: overthrow, ruin, disorder, confusion, shame. Let's look even further: a mingling, a mixing, a blending. So if you just look at these three words, if you just look at these three words, you can understand and overstand why exactly you're confused with the spiritual journey. It could be so very simple if you could just understand and understand these three words. And once again, I'll say you will spend thousands of dollars listening to niggas talk to you, listening to people prophesy and testimony and minister and do all and teach and do a whole bunch of whatever. But if you are the student and you can't differentiate your inner from outer world, you are going to be confused. Confusion is always the outcome. It's like saying I made a chocolate milk, but this chocolate milk that I made, you could differentiate the chocolate chemicals from the milk chemicals. So don't ever be confused as to why you are confused, because confusion is a mingling and a mixing and a blending. And then you would say, Kyrie, of what? Of what exactly? Your outer world and your inner world are they're doing both. Your personal, your unconscious is all merging. And so when people tell you to meditate, it then becomes to be like, oh, well, that's just a buzzword. That's just some stuff that spiritual people say. But we could always say meditate and pray continuously, right? Like always pray, right? Because in that way, you're always somewhat fixated and focused on your inner world. Even as you go through your day, if you can fixate and focus on your inner world and be so, once again, what is the bridge? We're gonna get into Revelations, but I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up right now so we can have a basis. In Revelation 17, right? One of the seven angels who had seven bows came to me. Come, I will show you the punishment of the great prostitute who sits by many waters. Right? Those many waters are the emotions, right? The emotions that keep you fixated and focused on the material world. These emotions keep you fixated and focused on the outer world. This is why to be meditative, to be reflective, is an unemotional thing. It's like going to school and you're trying to learn, but you're filled with emotions. You're not even going to be able to focus on what the teacher is teaching you. You cannot fixate and focus on the soul. And I don't care what's going on in your relationship. I don't care what's going on in your life. I don't care. We all can take a moment of silence to reflect and understand who we are as spiritual beings. So The next concept that I want to deal with is Babylon, because the first metaphysical definition we gave was of Babel. But everything in reference to Babylon is rooted in Babel, but Babylon thus represents the state, right? If Babel is the city, Babylon is the state or the empire, right? So the first, I'm not even going to like mince words with this. What we're talking about is slavery, because when you think about Babylon, they're like basically known for slavery and prostitution. And so it's a concept that I don't nobody is really talking about, but it's the Babylon paradigm for which we find ourselves encased in, where everybody that we know, including ourselves maybe, is utterly confused because nobody we've gone so far as a society to completely obliterate the connection to self, where maybe you can stand the knowledge and the understanding of consciousness, but your kids for sure can't. Your kids don't give a shit about none of this shit because the society for which they are conditioned to live in is creating a condition of slavery of the mind. What is slavery? Slavery is a condition in which one human being was being owned by another. A slave was considered by law as property or chattel and was deprived of most rights ordinarily held by free persons. But we need to be clear on this, man. We're not talking about what we may be thinking about is probably actually happening right now. We might be worse slaves than our ancestors. We might be in such of a low state of slavery that chains and shackles, our ancestors would be like, damn, we might want the chains and shackles the way that the slavery is of the mind of the people. Because what the hell? You know what being single like? Being single is like being in a desert and it ain't no water, it ain't no food, it ain't no animals. It's just your ass. And if you ever think about wanting to be with somebody, you're going to embark on one of the most dummiest missions of all time, because the states of mind of the people, you clear to see why a person is single. We're talking about the mental attitude of the people. So if you got somebody, I suggest you figure it out and work it out and try to make it work. Make some changes, compromises, do the inner work. Don't be triggered. Don't be mad. Don't be angry. Have the conversation. Talk it out. Take accountability. Be responsible. Look at the situation. Look at the economy. You can't be mad that your nigga ain't rich if you gave him some pussy. Two of those things can't exist in the same space. If you want him to be rich, you should have waited and got you the rich guy and then gave the rich guy some ass. But if you gave it to the poor guy who can't help you or do nothing for you, that's another thing that I've noticed, is that you choosing men that you better than and then being mad that he ain't good enough. But you helped him out, you washed his ass, you put him together, you got him an outfit. Them is the worst type of niggas in the whole entire universe. A nigga that needs you. If you get an ego boost out of dealing with a nigga like that, the results is almost, I don't even want to talk about how fucked up that is. When you as a woman get with a nigga that you are better than. You making more money than him. You got your shit together. You got your own place. You know what I'm saying? And he ain't got none of that. And you, in your masculine energy, wrap your arms around him. That's your son, miss. That's your son. You need to like give him a bottle. But this is what I noticed. So I'm reflecting and I'm understanding the issues. And I feel like if you are a woman, you could teach a man to be a man in a way that you could tell him like I need a man like this, need a man that's going to be like that. And if he take heed to it, like if he really love you and you like, well, these are the things that make me feel unsafe. These are the things that I'm kind of expecting a man to like be. And if he love you, he'll make those changes. If you talk to him, not yell at him, not emasculate him, right? But I'm noticing that it's a lot of men that we are raised by our moms. And so in our inner world, we are our moms. And so men ain't ready to hear that. They ready to just point the finger at the woman. You ain't doing this, you ain't doing that. Found some shit on TikTok. Repeat the shit he found on TikTok on your ass. But we not even realizing what are the disciplines and the masculine traits that have been instilled in this man. Because his mama couldn't do it. Did he go to jail? Did he play sports? Do we got homeboys? Like where does his inner world, what does his inner world consist of? And I think you as a divine feminine should be able to scale back and ask those questions before you fall in love. Is that a fair statement? One in the chat. Am I pissing y'all off when I say that, or is that just a fair statement? Because I don't, my spirit is not malintent. My spirit is trying to figure things out because people talk to me and they be like confused about shit. And so when they talk to me, it make me go deep within myself to try to figure out solutions. Does that make sense? Can y'all understand and understand how you could like a man but not get to know a man and then realize his inner world is all fucked up? You ever been in that situation? One's in the chat. Because I'm just trying to provide value to the collective. I'm not trying to make people triggered and make them feel bad or shameful. But in this society, if nobody is actually trying to speak to the heart of the matter, I find that dealing with the surface energy, like trying to find a nigga that just look good or find a girl that just treats you right, that just do little bitty shits, and we trying to find a solution in that. The core of the matter is being unaddressed, and I don't like that. So we're talking about mental slavery and we're talking about Babylon. So as much as we say certain ideologies that just don't make sense, that we know as black people we shouldn't be doing that. We y'all all can't have the same hairstyle, that don't make sense. Y'all all can't wear the same outfit, that don't really make sense. But even though it don't make sense, you will still people like I remember I remember I don't like to hide who I am as an individual, but in my 20s, like I was in adult entertainment and I used to deal with girls and we would get wigs because we was trying to protect our identity. And this was probably this was like 2010, 2011, 2012. And although the lace front wig. Like people was wearing extensions and stuff like that, but At that time, it was very, very expensive. And the wig was like something that either old ladies wore or people that was trying to rob it. Like you wore a wig, like that was your last resort as a hairstyle, right? But nowadays, in 2023, that's the normal hairstyle. And it's like, why? Like at us, not even like to throw shade, but usually shit be like, this was a style. Remember the style in 1980? They had this dude, and then they went into another dude, and then they flipped it into another dude. Like it'd be different hairstyles, the afro, the rap, it'd be like we'd be like flipping shit. But this is like been going on a long time type shit. So I just be wondering like when is the flip? If we go to the dictionary meanings, it simply means a mental attitude that includes feelings of inferiority. So, mental slavery, is a mental attitude rooted in feelings of inferiority. Where does that inferiority come from? You could have never did inner work and felt inferior. The only way you feel inferior is if you look at the outer world. And I don't care who you are. The baddest man in the world is a badder man. The most prettiest girl in the world, if she ever in a competition of being a pretty girl, she'll walk into a room and it's 1,000 more pretty girls. And she's like, what the fuck? And they all either look the same or look a little bit better. So if you said I'm a pretty ass girl and you walk into a room with 1,000 other pretty girls, the only energy that you would sustain is the energy of inferiority. But more truly, a slave mentality is a belief which is thriving in most of the third world countries. I would say that United States is a third world country. I would say the ghettos of America are third world countries because as much as you would never be there or you would never go there, it's people that's just there living, existing, and we would be afraid to go. And it's really sad because it's a lot of young children. It's a lot of young children that don't have no guidance and no leadership, and all they can rely on is the outer world. So if you only see the ghetto, if you only see the hood, if you only see the projects, then you would develop a project mentality. And if you would ever want to be successful in life, you could be successful even if you get to be grown and mature. You like, well, it don't matter where I'm at. I can figure it out because I am who I am. That comes from inner work. Although this inferiority syndrome leads to failure, dissatisfaction, and a sense of low achievement in an individual's life, yet it is worse when it prevails in the whole nation. The slave mentality of a nation hampers the overall progress of the nation, especially human development. Now, I say this to say they love celebrating Juneteenth and talking about how black people came over here as slaves when we the original people. So how could we be the why don't we get celebrated as the original people? We had a life if it is true that we was shipped here on slaves, we had a civilization before that. Why can't we just rest on that? Even if it was Nigeria or Igbo or Ifa, if that was our history before, why can't we just talk about Nigeria? Why do we have to be slaves as our origin story? This does something to the psychology. You know it does something to the psychology because you can go to the ghetto and bear witness. So, what are the three traits of a slave mentality? No or no negligible budget for research and development. The time that you should have free, you shouldn't be watching Netflix And like we shouldn't be like if I wanted to talk about BMF, niggas would be talking to me for hours about the show, but I've never seen the show. It's a lot. I never seen Power. I never seen none of that shit. Not even an episode. I don't know none of the characters. I don't know none of the storylines because we need to research and we need to develop. We don't, you don't, at no point does it make sense. It doesn't make sense to go to school, graduate from school, and then stop learning. If it was beneficial to you to learn in school, it's going to be beneficial for you to learn as an adult. So when does the research and development stop for an adult? It does not stop. But when we talk about lower classes, we're also talking about people who don't want to develop and research different technology and implement those technologies because at the end of the day, even if they are going to read and study, niggas just want to have the shit just written down for themselves. That's not development. That don't matter. You got to see if these ideas actually work. So it's cool for spiritual people to talk to you all day, every day. But if you're not willing to do the inner work, study the inner work, develop these concepts, if your spirit gave you the gift to write, if your spirit gave you the gift of song, but you're not implementing that song, I don't know about your mixtape, I don't know about your CD, you can download BandLab for free. You can get a mic for under $100. You can download beats off of YouTube. It's not that hard. Even if it was hard, you could watch YouTube videos to put out a CD. You could do something. But your spirit gave you the gift of talent. He gave you the talent. But you're not doing nothing to bring it forward because you're only focused on the outer world and figuring out how you're going to make a place and make an impact in the outer world. And the reality is that you can't. You shouldn't even be concerned with life because think about all of the times you start fearing death. You ever just been driving around? One in the chat, if you just been driving around before and you just like think about, oh my God, you start thinking about the moment you might die or some shit like that. Like that thought might come into your mind. You think about like, oh my God, what would happen? Da da da. Y'all ever think about death before? Is it something that like you'd be like, oh my God, this is so one's in the chat if that ever happened. If that ever happened to you, that's pure ego. That's pure ego. The ego is concerned with birth and death. Because that's the ego was created and the ego has a death day. So the ego is dead set on if I'm a good mom, if I'm